Hello. Think I'm live. I think I'm live. I don't know if anyone's gonna join me today because Sheree never goes live. I have to look back and see when was the last time that I went live. But I'm gonna go ahead and chat because I was about to film a video and I realized that I probably wasn't going to have time to edit it before I moved on to the next phase of these videos. So I'm kind of using this live stream as a video. If anyone joins, great. If not, you guys can come back and watch the replay. So let me just say a quick hi to anyone that's new watching. I'm Sheree. This is my channel, one of my channels, At Home with Sheree. And on this channel, I share with you, mostly I've been sharing gardening things, but really it was intended to share just my home life, the things I do at home, baking, cooking, gardening, all the things. And so we'll talk more about some of those things in 2023. But the channel has been pretty dominated by gardening because I was obsessed when I finally was able to garden the way I wanted to garden. But anyway, new things coming. But I'm here because, like I said, oh, and let me say hi. If you are catching the replay, hello. I appreciate you watching. I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible, but I do have a lot of things I want to share because, again, I really want to get these things out. And I know with my schedule, my editing time is going to be a little sparse. So I wanted to get these things in. I see some people have joined, so I'm going to say a quick hello to Auntie's backyard. I got my little tablet over here so I can read better. Auntie's backyard. Hello. Thank you for coming in. Hi, Growing with Hudson. Hey, Jihad. Llama Llama. Hi, Lindsay. Thanks for joining. Hey, Nicole Smith Gardening. Hi, Janet. Thanks for coming in. So yeah, like I said, guys, I'm really just doing this because I've been wanting to share this for a while, and I was going through doing a pantry check, and I'm like, just go live, share the things, because I have to get the stuff back off my dining room table and back down in the food pantry room. I also have a little mail call. I won some things from our dear friend Jay of Juicing with Jay. He probably can't make it. I think he might be working. I don't know what time it is in California. But Jay had his birthday. Sag season is over, but we claim Sag season all year long, just so you know. Uh, but anyway, he had his birthday and 1,000 subscriber and monetization celebration last week. And I was a lucky winner of his first prize. And that came. And so I'm going to share that because his giveaway was pretty early. I know a lot of folks may have missed it. I did link to it in my community tab if you want to go back and watch it. But I'll share with you all what I got from Jay and just want to shout him out and say thank you, thank you. And then, like I said, I have a lot of stuff that I grew over the 2023 garden season purposely for my pantry. And they were things that I grew them because I didn't want to have to like preserve everything through cooking and canning and freezing and all and freeze drying all the things. I wanted to have a good amount of food that I grew that I could simply put in I have a big food storage room in my basement. That's where I keep my deep freezer. That's where I keep all my long-term storage, 25-year freeze-dried food. And it's now also where I keep proudly the home canned stuff that I am generating, but as well these things that I grew, and I can just go down to the shelf and pull them off. So I'm going to share that. And then I shared a seed haul video not that long ago, was it last week? Maybe the week before. And I bought a lot of seeds. Y'all, if you've been with me, you know I buy all the seeds. I just do. I am obsessed with collecting seeds. I'm very proudly generating my own seed vault library. And so anyway, but there were some things that I wanted from Baker Creek that they weren't in stock. Got the notification that they were in. of course, added more things to my cart. So I'm going to be gradually showing some of my 2023 seeds that I've gotten mainly from Baker Creek because I think that's most people, a lot of people shop there. But anyway, and they really do. I like sharing seed hauls from them mainly because they show pictures, and a lot of the other places that I buy from, there are no pictures, so that means I have to go find the pictures. It adds too much time. Uh, so that's the main reason why I mostly share the Baker Creek ones. But anyway, I got some cool new things in that I'm going to share, and I'll continue just like I did. I did the same thing last year. I didn't just do like a seed haul with everything. I like to break it up in categories because I know sometimes people like they just want to see all the tomatoes or they just want to see all the herbs. And it's my channel. That's how I want to do it. So I'm not going to sit and do like a 3-hour seed haul video because y'all know I get all into the descriptions and stuff. So that's just my way, and I will continue with that. But I did pull some that I think are pretty cool that I'm going to share. And then, yeah, what else? I think that was it. Food storage, my gift from Jay, and then the seed haul. All right. So let me see. I think I said hi to everyone that has acknowledged themselves in the chat, but let me just double check. Oh, that's a new name to me. Lala Texas 8A. Hi, Lala. I don't think I've met you before, but hello. Thanks for joining in. Okay, let me read this from Lindsay. Lindsay says, my husband guessed I had around 100 seed packs. I'm at around 270. I'm not even going to tell you how many seeds. I'm actually cataloging my seeds because I'm such a dork. And I'm still just doing the green, like greens, brassicas, lettuces, things like that. And I already have 500 varieties. But, it's the collector in me. One day I'll grow them all. And there is another reason. I'll share really quick. I'm not going to go into the details. But I'm mostly a stay-at-home mom these days, but I have a couple side hustles that do quite well. And one of them is I write curricula for, I think I've shared this before, but I started during the pandemic writing science curricula for remote learning for children. And now that, things are back opened up, these programs are expanding. And last year, and of course, the first year I did it was mostly science because it was designed to help them get back up to speed with their science learning because they had missed so much during COVID. And of course, I threw some gardening in there. Well, they loved the program so much that last year, the whole theme of the program, which includes literacy, mental health for children, all kinds of other things, I do the science component. I convinced them that the whole theme was actually gardening and seeds. One day I'll have to share the full story. It's really personal to me. And so, yeah, but anyway, I always wanted to be a teacher. Actually, I got my PhD in chemistry because I intended to teach, but I ended up going into industry working as a chemist. But my heart is always as a teacher. And so this is like my pet project. And it's something I would totally do for free. So it's great that I get paid to do it. But anyway, this year, last year was just, again, a huge success. And I've been doing it remotely. Like I develop the curriculum, I record videos, I make packets for the instructors and the children. So I have not met these people. I mean, I know the person who runs it. She's a dear friend of mine, and I serve on the board of directors for her nonprofit. But I haven't met the children. I haven't met the teachers. So this year I will. But we wrote another grant, and it got funded like way beyond what we even imagined, like over $500,000. And I'm like completely blown away. And so we're going to have 7 sites, over 600 kids. And so that's going to be my joy in 2023. So I have to start traveling because this year I'm going to go and do some stuff in person. I have a lot of stuff to set up for them and a lot of videos and curricula to write. But I'm really proud of that. But anyway, I didn't intend to do so much indoor gardening this year, but then this happened. And so now I'm doing like way more indoor gardening than I even did last year because I have to test all these things. I have all these different hydroponic systems that I'm testing. I'm testing all these different seeds to see like which ones will grow the fastest for the children. So yeah, it's a lot of fun, but it's keeping me pretty busy. But I love it. I love it. So anyway, I diverge. Let me get back on track. Let me see. I'm missing all the comments. You guys know I'm horrible at lives. Um, I think this is like my sixth live ever. And I get totally distracted and I just talk and talk and talk. And I miss all your wonderful. Hey, I see Jay is here. Hey, Jay. Okay, Jay is here. Let me real quick because I know Jay is busy. I'm going to open my winnings from Jay real quick while we have him in the house. Y'all, Jay started a membership program. Bravo to you, Jay. I have one for a year and I loved it. I basically was charging $2.99 and sending people out about $20 worth of seeds. So I shut that down because honestly, with the mailing of the packages and I reopened my store, it was just, I was getting sick of going to the post office and doing all that. So I shut mine down, but I joined Jay's. I like supporting people through channel memberships. So I am very excited. And Jay, I think I may have been your first member. I don't know. Was I first? Not that I was trying to be first, but I was kind of tickled. I'm like, am I his first member? All right, y'all. I got to get something to open this. Pardon me. I have leggings on. I don't like to show all my stuff on TV. All right. Sorry, y'all. I forgot to bring something to unwrap this well-taped box from Jay. Just left the post office. Jay, you are so generous to us. Like, I'm so ashamed that I have killed nearly every cutting that you sent me. But thankfully, y'all, Jay sent me pomegranates last year. He sent me dragon, like the actual fruit. Like I didn't have to grill it. They were so delicious. I did save seeds from the pomegranate, even though I know I probably can't grow a pomegranate tree. They were so good and beautiful. And then he sent me cuttings, which I got to sprout, but somehow they didn't survive. I think it was just too cold where I had them in the basement. And then once I started, growing all my stuff, that's the one downfall of like trying to grow so much stuff is sometimes I lose track of things. And what I found is like I lost track of a lot of the trees that I was trying to grow. They were like in the back and then they dried up and then they didn't recover. And so I think I'm going to back off from trying to do all the seed cuttings and stuff. The figs were fine, but all the citrus and stuff, I lost all of them. I see someone else in the house. Hi, FR Humphrey. Hi, thanks for joining. Let me just scan real quick. I always feel so rude. That's why a lot of times when I go into other people's live chats, I stay quiet because then I feel rude if I don't say hi to everyone. But I'm like a listener. Like I don't like to like have to read and listen at the same time. And I know some of y'all think it's probably lame, but that's just how I am. I'm one of those people like I process everything. So like if I'm reading it, I'm like processing everything that I read. I'm like trying to interpret emotions and I'm like trying to listen. And then I get overwhelmed. So I tend to just listen. I like to come in, listen, hit the like button. Sometimes I'll leave a comment after if I remember. But usually I just let the next video play. We all support in different ways. And if you got a channel membership, I'll probably join it. But anyway, I saw a comment from Lala TX8A. I've been subscribed for a long time. Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't go live. So usually like I'll try to respond to comments. But I'm so sorry if I've missed you before. I hope I responded to any comments that you left. Maybe my first time. Yeah, this is my first time going live, I think in 2023. I mean in 2022. I did like a bunch of lives together, like 3 or 4, and then I didn't do it again. It's just I don't know. I'm a video kind of person though. I like the meat of videos. But anyway, y'all don't care what I like. Let me get back in here. I don't think I missed anything. And then, I can't read this little text on the phone. And I started going live on my sewing channel, which is nice because I have my computer there and I have the big screen. But I couldn't drag, when you guys see all the squash and stuff, you'll see, I couldn't drag all this in there. But anyway, this is what I won from Jay. And it's so funny because I was needing to buy another set of these. So Jay, you saved me some money because I'm getting a new, bigger greenhouse. And I'm going to have my whole property has in-ground sprinkler system. It was here when we bought it. All 1.5 acres can be watered. And so I positioned my 2 garden spaces so far. I positioned the beds and everything. That kind of dictated where I put them and how I put them. But with the new greenhouse, I'm going to have to, I don't have to, but I want to have a spigot in the greenhouse so I don't have to open the door to, bring in a hose. And so I'm going to get a spigot in the greenhouse that I can attach a hose to and leave that in the greenhouse. And this is going to be my greenhouse watering wands. So Jay, every time I go in my greenhouse and water my new greenhouse, I'll have something from you. Thank you. I'm going to send you some seeds too, Jay. And I still have stuff that I made for Sheree that I never shipped. So I'm going to be sending a package your way. I'm so lame. I go out in the winter as little as possible. But now I'm back to selling things. So I got to go to the post office pretty much every day. So anyway, yeah, that's that. Let me see. Did I miss anybody? Nope. I'm going to go back and read y'all's comments too. Okay. Yeah, Nicole, that boy. I have a little hoop house kind of thing in my hillside garden, which is great. It extends my season up there. And I plan to use that in full effect last year, but then I got that plexiglass little greenhouse that's down at my hillside garden. That thing heats up so much more. This is why I have all the squash that I have that I'm going to show you guys. It was because of that greenhouse. Because I started those seeds in there and it just, wow. So y'all know me. I'm like, I need this greenhouse to be 4 times the size of what I am. So I found the greenhouse that I want. It's big and beautiful. And it's going to be a part of my 25th wedding anniversary gift, which is in 2023. So I've already selected it. I already sent the link to my honey bunny. And he already said, he's like, I think we're going to have to hire someone on Tasker to put this together. I'm like, it's fine. You do what you need to do. Just make sure it's up by April 1st. But anyway, I'm so excited. And I want to be able to sit in there and it was so nice to go in when it was freezing cold outside. And that greenhouse was so warm. And I would stay out there for hours because it was so nice to be outside and feel warm at that time. So I'm super excited about that. And I want to grow more. I do want to try to grow in that thing possibly over winter next year. So we're going to try to get some heating in it. We're just going to try some things because with this garden program that I'm doing, I think if we write for a grant again next year, I think that's going to be the next step, trying to get funding for community greenhouse gardens at these sites, I think would be fabulous. So that's going to be part of the reason why I want to test it out. So yeah, I have to learn and teach myself and try to master it. This program, all the sites are in Michigan. So they're warmer. They're not quite zone 4. So whatever I can do, they can do. So that's the nice thing. Thank you, Jay. It's 25 years. Can you imagine I've been married for 25 years? I'm old. I turned 51, guys, a few weeks ago. And so my children are just like, I can't believe you're over 50. Like, I know, I can't believe it either. I remember when my mom turned 40 and I thought, gosh, she's so old. So yes, Nicole, I always want to grow more. I mean, if I could grow all my food, I would, but I can't. But I'm certainly, I mean, it's just wonderful to go in the basement and pull out food. So speaking of food, let's get into the squash. So again, thank you, Jay, for I know Jay, I know it's 25. Next year it's my 25-year wedding anniversary. It's also the 25-year anniversary of me earning my PhD from MIT. So we have a lot of celebrating to do. And my daughter graduates from college. So 2023 is going to be a fun year. Mm-hmm. So anyway, I'm going to start talking about the squash. So I told you guys, I always like kind of think through and set a theme for myself and a couple big goals for myself, in general, life, everything. So of course, now that I garden, I have it in, I have some goals for gardening. And I just saw something jump. I saw somebody say zone 4. Pantry Gardens. Hi, I saw a comment from you recently. Welcome to the channel. Thanks for joining us live. See, I want to read all the comments now, but then I'll have you guys here forever. So anyway, I need, I used to go on people's live chats and they would have someone else up there with them and they would be like reading the comments for them. That's kind of nice because then you can kind of keep up with what's going on. But anyway, so I knew in 2021, after growing all that food, all those tomatoes. I mean, it was such a glutton of food at the end of the season because I basically, with the crazy weather, I ended up getting like 2 bumper crops. And of course, I couldn't let anything go to waste. Also in 2022, I started my Butcher Box subscription. So that second freezer that I had is now like 3/4 meat, not just vegetables. So I knew in 2022, I knew I was getting my freeze dryer as my Christmas present. And then I knew that I wouldn't, have as much freezer space as I did the year before. The year before, I was just taking tomatoes and peppers, chopping them, cleaning them, and putting them in Ziploc bags, not Ziploc, but pulling the air out, and vacuum seal bags and just throwing them in the freezer. And I'm still using those. But I knew I wouldn't have as much space, but I knew I wanted to, again, provide myself, for my own personal reasons, as much vegetables as I could. And so I started researching like which vegetables have the longest shelf life. And I found that a bunch of onion varieties, our storage onions, have a long shelf life. And then a bunch of squash that, the winter squash would be great options. And so, yeah. And so I knew I could freeze dry the onions. I knew I could dehydrate the onions. I knew I could freeze dry and dehydrate the squash. But then with the winter squash, theoretically, I should just be able to let them cure, put them on the shelf, and pull them out. So I picked varieties that were supposed to have a really long shelf life after curing. And I freeze dried a lot. I got the freeze dryer Christmas last year, so Christmas 2021. And I haven't done any freeze drying videos. I'm gonna do some, but a lot of it was just testing out. What I did was I was just like buying things at the supermarket, especially fruit, because I can't grow my own fruit here. And I was testing the freeze drying out. I bought acorn squash and a couple other things at the supermarket and freeze dried those to see like how could I reconstitute and cook them. And then there were some things that I tried that I prefer dehydrating them, for example. So I've been just kind of using this year just for myself to experiment to see like what did the best, basically, what we like. We definitely love freeze-dried fruit. I mean, wow. I've shared some in shorts and I shared I shared some in a live on my sewing channel. But I haven't put anything up in here, but I will be putting up. I've actually already recorded lots of segments of things. I just haven't put it all together. But anyway, the squash and the onions were really the main two things that I focused on. I knew I wanted to grow as many as possible. I've never had much experience nor success with either one of them, so I knew I needed to like really focus, which is also part of why I kind of disappeared from YouTube because I needed to focus on my garden. I saw a lot of people's gardens just getting decimated. And I panicked and I was just like, girl, focus on your garden. Like, you don't have time to be making videos, just take care of your plants. And so I did. That's what I did. And first, I'm going to just start going through some of the things in case any of you, especially if you live in a cold climate and you want to have food that you can just store and put up. So I shared, and most of these I shared at some stage during the garden season. And my last video that I put up of a garden harvest actually featured a lot of these. And so these, I got two of these. They're heavy. This was that I referred to it as my diva squash. It's called the Lady Godiva. And when I do the more detailed videos, this looks so different now versus when I brought it. When I brought them in the house to cure, they were all green. And I was a little bit worried because I wasn't sure if I, took them off too soon or what. Like I said, this is all new for me. So it's been a lot of learning. And so sure enough, just as my research told, it gradually cured and it got this more orange color. I harvested two of these throughout the season. Again, they're in videos. I harvested them too early. And so we just cooked them up and ate them as summer squash. But these are the ones that I left them on until right before the frost. And then I put them, they've just been curing. And so what I'll be doing as we move into 2023 is I'll be cutting into these and cooking them and sharing more about all of these. But this is the Lady Godiva. And pretty much all of these are from Baker Creek Seeds. And so one thing I will say, let me grab that actually, because I think a lot of us grow this squash. One squash that I didn't even know when I was growing it, but as I was continuing to do my research over the summer, learned that the white pattypan squash, if you let that continue to grow larger and then cure it, it actually can be like a winter squash. So that was like one of the most prolific plants for me. And it never got hit with powdery mildew or anything, any diseases. I have to say, I'm so grateful that my garden just stayed pretty much disease free, even with all the crazy weather. I was nervous, but it held up well. And so this is my last white pattypan squash. We love this squash. I cooked soup, I roasted it, sauteed it. I actually freeze dried a bunch of it. I have some of it slicing in the freezer. I have two actually in the kitchen because I'm going to be cooking those. And then this is my last one. And I harvested these in August and it's December. So they hold up pretty well. I had to throw out like 2 or 3 of them because they started to rot. And I don't know if that's just, it didn't cure right, or I don't know what happened. So what I do is every week I go down and I just check them. I check the bottoms of the squash to make sure there's no rotting. I had a couple acorn squash that started to soften, so I cooked those up real quick. And so again, like I said, they theoretically should have stayed for a long time. And so I'm not sure if it was just my curing technique or if I pulled them too soon. I mean, I pulled them when I had to because it's Minnesota. They have to come out. But if you have a longer growing season, you could probably leave them out longer. I kept doing that fingernail test, right? When you can't push your fingernail in, it should theoretically be ready to harvest with the winter squash. But different varieties are just going to have different shelf lives. And so that's part of why I like to grow a lot of things, because for me, I like to learn how the things are going to behave, etc. So I've learned a lot about these particular varieties, what I want to try to grow more of for next year, etc. So we talked about the Lady Godiva, and these things are going to be full of seeds. I don't know if I'm going to save seeds. Well, I'll probably save the seeds, but I don't know if I'll regrow them. But anyway, these are a variety of acorn squash. I believe they're called Thelma. I can't remember. But I got 2 of those left. Really sweet and delicious. And then this is another variety of acorn squash. I can't remember. When I do the cutting open and cooking videos, of course, I'll be sharing the names, but I grow way too many things to like memorize all the names. At some point over years, they'll start to stick in, but it's too soon. Hey, I see G Mama Grows has joined the chat. Let me just do a quick catch up to say hi to anyone that may have joined. Cotham Creations, hi, thanks for joining. I said hi to FR Humphrey. You want to grow those. What do you want to grow, FR Humphrey? I missed that. I'm out of sync. And then G Mama Grows, hi. I think I caught everyone. Okay. So these are just different varieties of acorn squash. I think we typically see the really dark skin ones. I've already either eaten or freeze dried those that I grew. I think I harvested like 5 of them from one plant. And then I had another one. It was called a table queen, which was also really dark acorn squash. And I only got 1 of those off of that plant, and she has been eaten. The patty pan, yeah. So prolific. I have several varieties of the patty pan, every variety that I could find. This one was the most prolific, the white one. And I grew this my first season here, then I didn't grow it in 2021, and then I grew it again last year. And I've made a mental note to grow this every year. It's so good, young, tender as a summer squash, but it's actually really good cured as a winter squash too. I just peel it then. But with the summer one, of course, I eat the skin like a zucchini squash. So those are those. The next one I'm going to share with you, I got 3 of these. These are the white, they're called white squash or white pumpkins from Baker Creek. The Baker Creek ones looked a little more flattish and like, flat and out. Mine grew like this. They're heavy too. I had one that was small that I've already cut into and consumed. I have these 2 left, and they've been storing wonderfully, no rot, very hard skin, but you can feel like the ones I'll show you here. I have a couple where it's cleared, that it's like over dried in the shell, and you can feel it's not as heavy, like the water content is gone. With these, when you can feel that they're still heavy, at least for me, I'm assuming, see when we cut them open, that these are still fresh and good pumpkin and squash inside, because they're actually pretty heavy. So I have 2 of those white pumpkin squash left. This is the one I'm talking about. This is a variety, I think it's like a Yugoslavian variety of a spaghetti squash. This one is hollow and very light. This one is still heavy, so ready to eat. And so again, I don't know why one dried out and not the other, but I will be, I'll cut them together in the same video and we'll inspect it together and see. But we did eat one of these, very delicious. And if you're just joining again, when I do the individual videos on the squash, I'll share the names of them. All right, I gotta make some more room because this is a lot of squash, so y'all bear with me while I move these. Don't mind me, I have leggings on, y'all. I gotta be careful with these because one of them was so heavy I went to move it and I dropped it, so I had to eat it. All right, so I made a little bit of room. Let me see what people are saying real quick. I had no idea you could store patty pan squash. Yeah, I was just, I was in research mode and I found that on some site that said they could also be, I researched it because I had one that was hidden and it was huge. I shared it in the video. It was huge. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is still going to be edible. And so because I tend to like to harvest even my greens. I like that baby, kind of specialty taste that you get when things are like really young. So I usually harvest them when they're small. But this one, it was massive. And I was just Google searching to see with some things, the textures change. And I read somewhere that you can actually let them cure when they get big as winter squash. And again, I would say the shelf life is just a couple months. It's not like some of these that I'm going to show you in a minute that really the shelf life is supposed to be like a year. And so they don't have as long a shelf life as some of these like real pumpkins and true like winter squashes. But still, if you can harvest something and not have to process it and then pull it off a shelf and eat it after 2-3 months, here in Minnesota, I'm here for it. So the next thing I'm going to show you guys is I have 2 remaining of this Japanese squash. Really looking forward to, I already know the recipe I want to use these in. So I'll share those with you guys. I had one that was really small when it was time to harvest and I just chopped it up and sauteed it. But I don't think it had like developed the full flavor and the full sugars. That's the other thing is these cure, that's part of the curing process is like the development of the sugars and the flavors. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to trying them. And again, like I said, they still have a lot of weight to them. And so they certainly have not, dried out, no rotting or anything like that. So I want to grow like twice as many squash next year because first of all, I love squash. I love pumpkin. This is like my kind of food with stews and roasts and things like that. And when I tell you how little like vegetables I've had to buy from the supermarket, it's just amazing. And it tastes so good. So next I'm going to show you one of the most prolific squash, pumpkin, that I grew was this little pumpkin here. This is like half of what I grew. I have about half left. It was one plant. And when I tell you that plant went bananas. Hey, GT grows it. Alaska is in the house. You guys, most of you guys that I've seen, you probably already know GT and Mike are hosting the WIG 2022 Winter Indoor Grow Off. I'm not participating. If you guys were here at the beginning, you know why. Your girl has a lot to do. But as usual, I'll be watching your videos. I'll be hitting that like button and cheering y'all all on. I had a lot of fun watching the MIG Grow Off and all the smack talking that went. I chose my favorite early on. I'm going to choose a favorite. It's nothing personal. I always got to have like one underdog to cheer on. That's just my personality. So I'm looking forward to seeing all that. But I already know I'm in kind of like, I got to learn to teach mode. And that's just like one small facet of my life. And so I'm really trying to be better about not committing to too many things. But anyway, I'll be watching and cheering. But these little pumpkin, there's so many. And you know, the only thing I don't like about them is it is a little tedious to like, you know, peel because they're so small and they got all the grooves and I don't want to waste the flesh. But they're so delicious. So what I've done, so again, I'm not going to tell you what I did because there's a video coming. I'll share that. But that was prolific. And then this one, I can't remember what kind of pumpkin this was, but I only got one of this little pumpkin from the plant. I got, this is literally half of what I got from one of these. And the one plant of this, I don't know if it was like the location, if it's just a plant. I have no idea why this one did so amazingly. And this is the packet for that. It was called the Jack B. Little Squash, but I mean, it's a pumpkin. Yeah, in case anyone wants to check that out. What variety of the, oh, yeah, it's this Hudson. It's this growing with Hudson. And again, 2023, I'll be sharing more of all of these because, yeah, I've already kind of like, you know, pre-recorded some stuff to kind of tell the story. But I'll get to that. And as I always do, I will share the variety name then. But I had this one because this is one I think I'm sorting seeds now to start figuring out what the children will grow back in Michigan at the different programs. And so I do want them to try some squash and stuff like that. You know, the kids they will love these. So I had some packets out. I'm going to get to that one. All right, so we talked about the little pumpkins. I still have more pumpkins, y'all. Let me just make sure I didn't have any more questions there and missed anyone else. I got GT. Junior grows in Alaska. Hey, Diane, too. Hi. Thanks for joining us. Aren't those pumpkins cute? They're so cute. This is another one where I'm like, putting one seed in the garden, I will always find. Now, who knows if it's going to grow as many for me next year? You know, like, it's so random. Gardening can be so freaking random, right? But I will definitely grow more of these next year. It's just a lot of good food. And then, okay, I'm going to take a quick break from the squash because I'm going to have to move all this from the table because then I got some big dog pumpkins to bring out in the squash. Let's take a quick break, switch, and talk about the onions because I have them right here. If you guys were with me in spring, you'll remember that I ordered a lot of onions from Dixondale Farm. And I've grown onions more as like, you know, I've gotten like the little baby bulbs for most of the green tops, and that's fine. I love cooking with green onions. But again, in 2021, when I was researching like my main focuses for the 2022 garden, I knew onions because I cook 3 to 6 onions every day. Like, it's just like a staple thing. Onions, garlic, peppers, every day. And so last winter, you know, every area was, you know, different things were, you know, like out of stock or getting hit with diseases. With most of my root vegetables, because they're growing in soil, I do try to buy organic versions of them in the supermarket. So I try to exclusively buy organic potatoes, onions, beets, all those kinds of things. Anything where, you know, the vegetable is spending most of its life in the soil, I try to buy organically. And for whatever reason, organic onions were like completely out of stock for, I mean, like 6 weeks. Here. And then I had some onions, but you know, I had a lot of like the sweet onions and they just don't last that long. They start to sprout in the house. And what I've learned, right, once I started researching the onions, we have no idea when those onions were harvested. So the onions we're buying in the store could already be 6 months old. We have no idea. So if the storage life is 6 months, yeah, by the time you get it, it's going to start rotting or sprouting or whatever. So I said, okay, 2022, I'm going to do my onions. So I placed my order 2021. And I like this Dixondale Farm because when I ordered it in fall of 2021, I could set my delivery date for April of 2022. So that's what I did. They showed up. And I'll be honest, I was a little bit nervous. Or maybe they showed up in March. When they showed up, we still had snow on the ground. It was still pretty cold. And I was a little bit nervous. It said to plant them, but I was just like, I don't know. And I'm realizing I probably should have planted them. I think it did. They should have been planted and they would have been fine. Maybe I should have covered them or something just to give them more time to grow. But I got a lot of really good sized onions in my growth time. Again, I've already shared them in videos, but I just wanted to give an update on what I have left and how they've been doing. So I grew, I think 3 or 4 varieties. They were not like long-term storage onions. The Walla Wallas, some other things are really like sweet. The high sugar content onions aren't meant for long-term storage. So you get, it said like 2, maximum 3 months on some of those. So I was using those up first. Those were some of the things that I freeze-dried green onions and freeze-dried onion bulbs. There's no comparison to dehydrated. I will never dehydrate my onions again. The flavor is so incredible. Oh my God. So I was glad that, so the sweet onions that I grew, those have mostly been consumed, or that's what I use for the freeze dryer to generate my different powders. I have some green tops that I froze, but they're gone. And what I have left are the storage onion varieties. And I just wanted to show you, right? With the onions, it was the same thing. It's tricky here in our colder climates because, we kind of go from hot to cold pretty quickly. And so I wanted to keep the onions in as long as possible to get as big as possible. But I'm realizing I probably should have protected them. And that's what I'll probably do this year, is kind of cover them so that they aren't getting any kind of dew or anything on them like that last week before I pull them. And then I think I should have left them outside on my screen porch longer before I brought them into the house. Because I will say, some of them are just sprouting. And again, I have them in my food storage room on a shelf. That room sits at about 58, 60 degrees. The light is only on when it's like an automatic light I have in there. So if I go in, the light comes off. When I leave out, the light goes off. So they're sitting in the dark. But some of the long-term ones are starting to sprout, and I can feel they're a little soft. And this is the first time I'm noticing this. So I'm just going to pull those out. I don't think they're usable. I might do a funny little thing and like plant them and just grow green tops. I don't know. But that's the one thing when you're storing these foods, you're going to need to go through and continuously check them. The other thing is maybe I shouldn't have stacked them like this in this basket, right? Maybe I should have kept them spread out single file, single layer. I don't know. That's part of the live and learn of it. But what I do know is I'm going to get these onions. I'm going to start. Some of them are like rock solid hard. I know they're cure, especially the smaller ones. I think it's some of the bigger ones. It's like I maybe didn't let them. See, this is like rock solid hard. So that's a live and learn. They won't go to waste. I think I might plop some in, like I said, in soil and to see if I can grow more green tops. They'll go into my compost. They'll get used. But like this big beauty. This is like hard as a rock. So that's a good one. And most of them are good. That's like, this is about half of what I harvested of this particular variety. And I've just pulled 2, 4, I pulled 7 bad onions. And like I said, a couple of these are still usable, probably, at least a portion of them. So I'm pleased with those. This particular variety is supposed to have about a 6-month shelf life. Um, and so yeah, Diane too says a good storage method is in nylon stockings tied. You know, and I did buy that, and I didn't do it mainly because I had so many onions, and I was like, where am I gonna put all these onions? But I think next year what I'm gonna do is have my husband like put an extra shelf in, because the shelves are kind of far apart. I think I'm going to have him put in an extra shelf or 2 or 4, I don't know, and keep them single layered so they can get air flow through them. And I have kind of a U-shaped shelving system in there, and I'll just take one section and that'll just be for like onion storage. So that way they'll be single. I think that's part of the problem. They need to be single layered, drying out longer. And I think because of space, I mean, I harvested over 500 onions. It was a lot of onions. The next variety, these are actually, I have 4 storage onions. And again, when I did the video, I told all the names. I haven't memorized these. But these are all doing great. And this is a blush onion. These are all doing great. Again, I have a couple that are sprouting, but these are still hard. So I think like if you catch them when they're sprouting, you can probably chop them up and use them pretty quickly. I'm gonna plop these puppies in some soil and just see what happens. I've never grown an onion from an onion. I know a lot of people do, but for the most part, and again, probably because they're smaller, right? They're less layers. These are still hard and great. And you can see I've been using the smaller ones first, which I'm realizing I probably should have been using the bigger ones first because it's more moisture. So I'm going to start using up those big ones. I'm a dork. I like to keep the variety separated, and I just mix them up. Hang on. So like I said, these are 2 different varieties, and I still have a lot of those left. And then this is the final variety that was for storage. And you can see here, these did not get quite as big. I harvested some bigger ones, you know, in the summer while they were growing. And I overgrew, I don't know how many, I grew a lot of onions. And you'll remember during the summer when I was harvesting onions and using them for like fresh cooking. And I think I probably harvested about a third of what I grew and just was using those fresh. And then I had about 2/3 that was for storage. So these are like smaller onions, this variety. And I know the onions that got the biggest sat in the most sun also. Like they were in, I think that bed that I put them in was just like the ideal spot for the onions. But I'm going to go ahead. I already got my order in for them. And then I'm going to I actually already started some to grow more onions from seeds because I'm going to use my hillside garden. Last year, I hardly used my hillside garden because we installed 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 new, those big metal raised beds I installed in that garden. And so that was like, and then it wasn't fenced in yet. And so it wasn't until like in December that was really like ready to put more stuff in. So I didn't use it to the full capacity, but I will be this year. And so I'm going to test that to see if I can get onions to grow up there also. And then now that I know how long they last, to be honest, I wasn't using as many as I wanted to because, you know, I'm like, gotta make them last. And now I'm like, girl, use up your onions before they rot. So I'll be using more of my onions, but I did start some green onions in the house. I see some new people have come in, so let me just say a quick hi. My Urban Garden, hi, nice to see you. Hey, Chloe K. Nice to see you, Chloe K. Thanks for joining. Grace Guines, hi. Thank you for joining. Hey, Karen. Corinne X. I think I always say your last name wrong, Corinne. Hi, from Wisconsin. Thanks for coming over and joining. It's great to see you. Okay, I think I caught everybody because the last person I saw come into the house was GT Jr. Grozit, Alaska. All right, so we talked about the onions. All right, so let's go through the rest of the Big Daddy squash now, and then I'll do the seed haul, and I'm gonna let y'all go because I'm always on here like way longer than I think I'm going to be. Hang on. I really thought I was gonna be talking to myself because I never go live, and I'm like, it's like the random middle of the day on a Tuesday. Sorry, y'all, but I just knew I didn't have it in me to like make videos and edit them. Hang on. Y'all, it's so many squash, and I can't risk having them all bunched up because I told y'all I dropped one, and so it has to get cooked. Look at these. So we already ate one of these butternut kind of squash. This is like an Italian variety. And yeah, this one also, the coloring changed quite a bit as it cured. And you can see, I mean, this is going to be a lot of good eating. I cannot wait to cut into these. Butternut squash is one of my favorite squash to make soup with. I love butternut squash soup. And so, yeah, these have cured just gorgeously. So I'm going to be cooking those up and sharing. Y'all going to have me in here messing up my food. Hang on. That would be bad. Hang on. Because this next one is enormous. Y'all, look at this thing. This was one of the first squash that started forming, actually. And again, if you watch my garden tour videos and stuff, you saw these things growing in my garden. Because I was so excited about the squash. This thing is so heavy. Let me put it around. This is the Big Max squash, y'all. Only got one off of the plant, but it's a biggins. And all these squash, I grew in grow bags. None of these, the only squash that was planted in the ground in my garden this year was the white patty pan squash. All of these other squash that I've shared with you and that I shared throughout the growing season, I've already eaten. Every single one was grown in a grow bag. Y'all, so exciting. So exciting. And so if you've seen my videos, you know I have in my one main garden that it sits in sun, so that's where I put all the heat loving things. I have my in-ground raised beds in the center, and then my entire perimeter of my garden is fenced in, and along that fence line is where I have grow bags. And my garden has been like that since I set it up in 2020, okay? And I usually use those grow bags for tomatoes and peppers and things like that. This year I decided to put all my peppers, pretty much, not all, but I put a lot of the peppers in ground this year because I knew I wanted to grow the squash, and I knew that I couldn't have them in the ground taking up all that space. So they went all around my fencing. And again, if you saw my videos, you saw the squash and the beans were all in grow bags, and they just vined up all around my fencing, and the cucumbers. So that's what I had in all my grow bags, and just all the way around that one garden. I'm going to try again. I already have them in place. I set up my garden, the hillside garden. I set that up. Like I said, I added 8 new big metal raised beds. And then I got these huge 50-gallon pots that I have placed in between them in the corners. And then I have grow bags set up. So I'm going to try to grow some squash and cucumbers and things, like especially cucumbers. The cucumbers really did, when it got really hot, they didn't need all that heat. So I think the hillside garden's going to be a good place to grow cucumbers. And then maybe I'll put more squash down in the big sunny garden. And then now I have framing the outside of the garden. I have raised beds all the way around. They're not that tall, and they're for flowers, but I might plop some squash seeds also in there, or cucumbers, and let them grow up on the outside and just mix and match. They loved it. And so anyway, only got one, but it's a biggins. And she is called the Big Max Squash from Baker Creek. And let me see here. It says huge pumpkins can exceed 100 pounds. Mine clearly didn't get that big. Nearly round, bright orange fruit, good for pies, canning, fairs, and displays. We're not displaying her. She getting eaten. I cannot wait to cut into this Mama Jamma and see what, all of them, I want to see what they look like. I want to see what the seeds are like. But again, I almost harvested her too early. And then, yeah, I almost harvested her too early because she looked, I wasn't exactly sure. That's the one downside, is like the vines run. So you really have to wait and be patient to see and give these things time to fully develop so you can recognize what they really are. Like people, And I almost harvested her because she was yellow, and I panicked and I was like, is this a summer squash that I just let get too big? But then I traced her vine back and I saw, I'm like, oh, this is that squash. And so, yeah, I left her alone, and you can see she's a biggins. So I'm so excited about this one. I got to carefully put her back out. This one, I can't remember the name. It's in the video. It's in a video somewhere. I can't remember the name. But this is another kind of pumpkin-y squash. I feel like when I brought this in, it was completely green. I have to look back at the pictures in the video. And she has just turned orange as she cured. Hey, Good Eats Homestead. Nice to see you. Did I miss anybody else? I'm sorry, y'all. I didn't want to read all the comments so bad, and I get distracted. Corinne says, I'm going to try some grow bags this year. Not sure what size to get. I would get a multitude of sizes. I really would. It's not a particular brand, but it's a particular kind of grow bag that I like. And I know I've shared it in a video before, but I need to be better about putting my Amazon affiliate links in videos. I forget. And then it's terrible. I'm gonna go back and read your comments after the live, because I'll sit here. The next one. Well, let me show you these. Hang on, guys. I only have one of these left. I'm pretty sure this is the sweet dumpling. I freeze dried some of these, and we've already eaten one of these. And again, this was much more green when I first harvested it, and you can see how the color, again, and when I share the videos, it'll be cool to see how different they look when I first brought them in versus now. These are 2 red curry squash. I only got 2 off of that one plant, but that's fine. Really excited to taste these, to try these, cut them open. Beautiful color. I mean, and the inside's supposed to be really delicious. Hang on, guys. I'm sorry I got to keep getting up, but I have them, my whole dining room. I pulled them all up here to do my inspections, and I was going to record a video. And because it's too, I can't really record in the food storage room. Plus, I don't want to show all my preps. It just feels weird. But it really, it's like it's, you know, there's no lighting on the shelves and grabbing them and stuff. So it's just easier for me. And I'm trying to document them also. So I took some pictures. But anyway, the next one I'll show you, I grew delicata squash. This is one of my favorite squash actually to buy in the stores. And I don't know why. It's actually a pretty expensive, you know, for the size squash, even at our farmers markets. Farmers markets were selling these for $2.99 each. But I usually get mine at places like Trader Joe's and stuff when they sell them by the pound. But even then, or by the each also, I think Trader Joe's, they usually have them for like $1.99 each. Well, I grew two different varieties. One variety, and again, the names are escaping me. I feel like this is like the honey sweet delicata, honey boat delicata, something like that. Something with honey. It looked a little different than the other ones. And this is just a regular delicata. Only got one from the honey plant. And when I realized, and it was the same thing with this little baby squash. For some reason, I think it was so many vines around that the fruit kept forming. And it would be like the little baby fruit, but then it would like shrivel up and die. It wasn't getting pollinated. So when I saw these form, it was actually pretty close to the end of the season. I think like 3-4 weeks before my last frost. I quickly hand pollinated them, and they grew. And so that's the other thing. Next year I might, because I definitely had a lot of blooms where I should have gotten more squash. But I didn't do any hand pollen. It was just like the bees are and I have a lot of bees in my garden. But I think there was just a lot for them. And I think they just missed some things. And so I think next year, I'm gonna force myself to go around to the squash. Because same thing was happening with some of my watermelon that I was trying to grow, little hand-sized watermelons. And I got some off of them. But it just seemed like the bees they're just attracted to, I think where I had a lot of plants, like those things just got, I mean, a lot of flowers, like regular flowers, those things were just getting like squash. But this is that little baby butter honey nut or something like that from Baker Creek. It's like a mini, you know, here's an Italian version. This was completely green, pretty much completely green when I harvested it, and it cures to this color. Because that's another thing, when you're growing these squash, you'll look at it and you'll be like, well, my squash doesn't look like the packet. But I think that's why I'm so partial to Baker Creek, because they give me something to look for. Like I know, okay, it's supposed to look like this. And sure enough, all the things that they didn't look like the packet when I harvested it, as it cured, it looked like the packet. So that was pretty cool. So like I said, as this grew outside, it was I'm almost this dark green. It was a really dark green as it grew. And when I brought it in, it was mostly green and it had a little bit of like yellow orange kind of poking through. And now it's fully cured. And again, like I said, the curing is what's supposed to develop the sugars and make them sweeter and tastier. So you do want to wait for them to cure, to eat them, to get the most flavor. I can't wait to cook this thing up. So anyway, I have one of the honey boat delicata, and then I have 6 of the regular delicatas left. I've already cooked up like 2 of these. So this one did pretty well. Again, and with all these things, you guys know me, I buy a lot of varieties and I put out one plant. So all these are from one plant. But again, only one from one plant. So you get what you get. You get what you get. Same thing with this. Only one. But I'm going to take it. I'm going to be grateful for this one. All right. So I have 4 more big squash to show you guys. And then we'll do the seed haul and I'm going to go. Because Sheree's been on here. How long? Oh, I've been on here for over an hour. Okay. Sorry, guys. This is why I can't go live because I get too excited. I'm way too talkative a person. That's part of why editing is like so tricky for me, because I literally will have like 2 hours worth of footage that I have to cut down to 15 minutes. I can't help it. There's always so much information and it's just so interesting, right? Am I the only one? All right, guys, let's make room for these big ones. Oh my gosh, they're heavy. All right. Woo. Y'all, I am like, and again, harvesting throughout the season, eating, but these storage ones, they're so cool. And I'm so glad. Ooh, see, end up dropping her. They're cured and I can now start cooking these babies. So this one is a Canadian crookneck, butternut kind of squash. So see how it's curved here? I had one more of these that I've already cooked. It was one that I pulled almost like too soon. And what happened was, this is part of how I've learned, at least for me, it looks like that's a telltale sign. So what happened, why I think I pulled it too early, because what happened was, as this was, because again, this was a much lighter color, almost like tan, and now it's almost like a salmony orange tone to it. But as it was curing, this fell off. And so I think that's a sign too that I pulled it too soon. Because it fell off. And I was like, oh, I think I gotta cook it. But you see, this one it didn't fall off. So it's just, I feel like I've learned a lot about squash. There's always so much more to learn, and every variety has its own thing, its own features. But just to remind you, this is what the straight, so see how the Canadian crookneck, and it just naturally curved. It wasn't that I grew that trumpetino, which I talked a lot about throughout the summer. And those, they're supposed to grow long like this, like trumpets, but you eat them green. You can let those cure as winter squash too. But I found with those, because again, I had them in grow bags. And so one bloomed kind of low to the grow bag. And when that hit the grow bag, it curved. This did not hit the grow bag. Like it just curved. It was way up on the fence and it just formed a curve, just like on the picture. These are also, I'm pretty certain every one of these squash seeds that I'm talking about is a Baker Creek seed, but it's the Canadian crookneck. And we'll see. But I mean, again, that's a lot of food. That's a lot of food. Then this one here, I forgot the name. These next two I'm going to show you, I completely forgot the name because they're not like straightforward names. But look at this one. This was another one. When I brought it in, it was mostly green. and it cured to this kind of salmony pink color. And then it started forming these warty things. And this is what it looks like on the Baker Creek seed pack. Didn't have those on there before. So I was a little bit confused, right? I was like, it has the same shape, but did I harvest it too soon? So that's another big lesson for me, right? When you are, and I'll talk more about this. Somebody else will probably talk about it too now. But, you know, when you get your seed packets, you don't know what stage they've taken that picture at, right? So sometimes you're looking at the picture and you're thinking that can't be it. Well, maybe it's because they took the picture after it cured or before it cured. And this looks completely different after curing than before curing. And so I was actually, they're kind of weird looking, but I was so excited when I went to pick this up yesterday to bring it up for the video. And I saw the warts. I'm like, it's doing what it's supposed to do. I mean, it's kind of creepy looking. But, and I only got one of those off the plant. She's happy though. And then this one too, I mean, this is a big one. This also was different color when I harvested. She's so happy. She was a different color when I harvested her. I feel, is this the Iran squash? I can't remember, but I'll tell you when I cut her open and cook her. This one's super heavy. Like I have my elbow on the table to support it. But look at how beautiful the coloration has gotten as it cured. Super cool. And then the grande finale. Are you guys ready to see the last squash? I think this is going to be the first one that I cut into and cook up. They're not, the warts are a little, it makes it look like a, you know, Cinderella witch. But again, I was excited to see that a lot of the really old French heirloom pumpkins have these warty things on them. I don't know what it, and you can see here, it's like new ones. It's almost like a pimple forms and warts. It's crazy. Oh, GT Junior, yeah, you should try to grow more squash. I started eating more squash because I don't digest gluten well. And so I started substituting those kind of carbs in my diet with squash kind of things. I got really into researching like ancestral food and like, I don't know, I was just curious, like, why do some people digest things? Like my husband, he's European. He's a pasta boy. It's like it doesn't irritate him. It's like I can't eat pasta like that. I'm like, my stomach is bloated. This just doesn't go over well. Squash, on the other hand. And so what I learned is squash has a lot of really great soluble fibers in them that actually are very healing for your gut. Then of course you're getting all those beautiful antioxidants with the beautiful orange colors. But it has it's a really good gut for me. It has a kind of fiber that's good for my gut. So yeah, check it out. And of course, I mean, if you can't grow it, you can buy it at the store. But it's fun to grow these different varieties. But here's my last prize possession. The pink banana melon. I showed you guys this. I showed this in a couple of videos throughout the season. I showed you it growing. This was another one where I had 2 more growing on that plant and then they died. And I should have been hand pollinating them. I will not make that mistake next year. I will definitely grow this again next year. She's beautiful. I bought these seeds from Baker Creek, I don't know how long ago, and I finally grew it last year. And she's changed a little bit since I brought her in, her coloration. She has this kind of like scaling on the skin up here. I don't know what that is. But I think I'm going to cut her open first. I'm going to cut her open first. Yeah. I cannot wait to cut into this to see what it looks like and to taste it. Yes, I can't even wait. I've been watching her. I've been watching her. And I'm so mad at myself for not thinking about just doing the ham. Well, I thought about it, but I mean, that's part of it. It's like, I want the garden to do what it's supposed to do. But in retrospect, it's like, girl, you could have had more squash and melons. Get your butt over there and hand pollinate them. So I will be hand pollinating next year. All right, I'm going to do a quick catch up to see if anyone had any questions or comments. Do remember, so 2023, I'm going to start putting out the videos showing the stages of me growing these, cutting into them so you can see what they look like, talking more about them, and more importantly, cooking and tasting them to see, mainly for me, but to share with you guys, will I grow this again? Does it even taste good? Right? Because, looks can be deceiving. So we will see. Well, let me go back down, see if there were any questions. I said hi to Good Eats. I said hi to Chloe K. I said hi to Corinne. Growing my husband, those are pretty. Interesting shape, great color. Interest peaked. That teardrop was so pretty. What was that? This? The Canadian crookneck? I wonder what you're talking about. What were you talking about, F.R. Humphrey? I had a butternut that kept giving me male flowers. I see a beehive in your future. Growing my Hudson, thankfully, I live in an area, my neighborhood is full of trees. Most people have flowers. I'm pretty much the only person that I can see that is growing vegetables. I have one neighbor that I think mix in some vegetables, but gorgeous flowers. But we have a lot of trees, we have a lot of nature, and then we back up against nature. And so we still have a lot of bees. Unlike where I lived in Michigan, they would spray for mosquitoes and stuff, and I think they killed a lot of the bees. That doesn't happen here. And so I have a lot of bees in my garden. I think what I need to do, which I didn't do it all this year, I need to cut back some of the vines to expose some of the flowers. And I definitely need to hand pollinate because it really is like, it was spotty. I mean, I grew that jelly melon. That was in a back corner, but I had zinnias and everything growing around it. And the leaves and the vines on that are really thin. Like, it doesn't produce a lot of leaves. Very skinny vine. Where some of these big squash, the leaves are like lily pads. Like they're like twice the size of my face. So I think I need to also play around with trimming some of that back. The bees love the cucumbers, easy access. But unfortunately for me, I'm not allowed to have bees here. We can't have bees. And it's funny, I live just beyond the Minneapolis city limits. Well, I don't know how far beyond, but it's still the same county. But in the city of Minneapolis, you can have beehives. In my town, we can't. So I look, because that was like one of the first things that I wanted to add, and I can't have bees. F.R. Humphrey, tell us about that sweater. You guys like my sweater? Yo, I'm a sweater girl. Oh my gosh. Did you make the sweater? No, I didn't. This was one of many birthday gifts that I got a few weeks ago from my family. It's a funny story because I sent my husband a link. One of my favorite places to buy sweaters was having a massive sale. And I was actually in North Carolina visiting my mom. I was with her for 10 days. And so, I had a lot of just free time doing different things. And I saw that one of my favorite stores was having a sale. So I generated this ridiculous, I generated this list. I was like, I want this. And I sent to my husband, I'm like, if you and the kids are looking for Christmas gifts, Here's some options. Well, I was thinking they would like look at it and like pick something. They bought the whole list. So my sweater game is like, oh, I got so many new sweaters that I'm actually going through. I'm like, I'm not even gonna bother wearing many of those solid color sweaters anymore because they're so colorful and fun. And yes, this is crochet on the sleeves. I don't crochet. This is one of my favorite ones. It has this like cool shoulder detail. And it's just, it's colorful. I love clothes that make me happy, people that make me happy, food that makes me happy. But anyway, no, I didn't make it. G Mama called it the bumpy Johnson. Look at this thing. It's pretty crazy. Warty. I have another couple varieties I pulled out. I think I'm going to grow them this year that also get these warts on them like that. So we'll see. Okay, I talked about that. How long does it take to cure? I harvested pretty much all of these in September, I'm pretty sure. It's in my last harvest video. So these are 3 months later? And it all varied. Some of them, like these haven't changed. So some of them, like, I think they kind of cured. In fact, when I harvested this, a couple of them had already fallen. I don't know if I told you this. I had 2 more of these that we've already eaten. These grew really fast. I feel like these were like 75 days or something. So they didn't go to the end of the season like some of these other ones. But then I had like a final one that grew. So, some of these, like I said, that's why some of the delicata we've already eaten, because that's a quick growing variety. So because I started them so early in my greenhouse and I put them out, I was already harvesting those delicata like in August and eating them. And what happened with some of these, especially the smaller ones, they cured on the vine. And so when I got this part was already dry and woody. So that's cured. Where some of these other ones, like this, was still a little greenish when I brought it in, the stem. And then this was a completely different color, the squash. And so this has been over a few months of them curing. Now, my research said that like you can, different temperatures, and if you have it under light and things like that. Like this was one, this cured on the vine. But I feel like some of my shorter season ones, they cured on the vine. And so depending on where you are, you might not need to cure yours in the house, right? A lot of you live in places where yours will grow outside your whole season. And then as your temperatures gradually cool, right, your squash will cure and they'll kind of detach from the stem, and then you bring them in. Here in Minnesota, zone 4, we kind of go, like our season ends and then it snows. And so we don't have this like long period of time. I probably could have, like, if I grew them in a high tunnel under cover or something like that, maybe, but I had to bring mine in. So I brought them onto my screen porch so they wouldn't get wet or anything. And they were out there for maybe like a week or 2, but it started getting below 30 at night. And so then I brought them in my house because they need to be, you don't want them to freeze. You want them to be warm and not hot, so they've just been sitting at room temperature for me. So I would say, and then every variety is different. So that's why for me, like I said, this has been such a learning, right? A couple, like when I saw this one, I was like, every time I looked at it, I felt like it was looking different. And like that beautiful Italian butternut that was green, and then it just gradually got more and more orange. And that was probably over like 6 weeks. And then it's been orange and it stayed orange. And so they're all different. They're all completely different. And like I said, it depends on your zone. Hopefully you're lucky enough to live in a place where you can let yours cure outside, and then you don't have to do, there's a downside with these short grow seasons. I have to do extra stuff at the beginning of the season, and then I got to do extra stuff at the end of the season, but it's worth it because I get my food. I get my fun food. So anyway, I think we're done talking about squash. I'm going to share a couple more seeds because I know some of you are probably about to, or maybe you've already started. Some of you, GT Junior grows at Alaska, says, I'm on Dixondale Farm website, and then I will go grab some squash seeds. GT, make sure you look for the long dang. Your onions will probably get really big because you guys have even longer days, right, than we do here in Minnesota. But make sure you look at the ones, I feel like one variety was like a red baron. That was the red onion that had like an 8 to 10 month storage. But yeah, make sure you read the description. Somewhere down there, it tells you the kind of average storage life. And that's what I picked mine based on, because I wanted the things that I could store the longest. And I can even see here that storage life is clearly based on them being fully and properly cured, which I clearly didn't do for some of my onions. So, learning. Hopefully, year 2, I'll do better. But anyway, let me show you the seeds so I can go and y'all can go. I have so many seeds, y'all. Part of the problem too, right, is because for these kids, it's 7 sites, 600 kids. It's a lot of growing. And so some of these things I'm going to be splitting up to send to them. Of course, I'll be growing some. You know, like most of us, we know we can't grow every seed we buy in that season. At least I can't yet until I get a farm. But that's not my point of buying seeds. So I'm going to show you guys. There were a couple which aren't in here. There were some seeds that when I went to get them from the new, from 2023, they were either not on the site yet or sold out. I don't know. But I did that little thing, you know, you can tell them to notify you when they get back in. So I got that alert, and then I already had some more stuff in my cart waiting. So I'm going to share a couple new things. But like I said at the beginning, in 2023, as I decide what I'm going to grow or what I'm most leaning towards growing, I'm going to do the same thing that I did last year, which is I broke the seeds up in kind of types. It's just easier for me. And I think for someone, like if you just want to see green beans, you can just watch the green bean video. If you just want to see tomatoes, you can watch the tomato video. So, you know, we all have our own way. I just, you know, especially from Baker Creek, I don't do like an order here, or I just get everything I want pretty much in 1 or 2 orders, and then I'm done. And then I sort them. And so I will be sharing, you know, as I always do, I share a lot of seeds and varieties as I'm either planting them or they're growing or in the dedicated seed haul videos. So y'all can look out for that. But I just want to share a couple more things, partly because I'm going to be starting them soon. And some of them just for interest, especially if anyone is like me, living in a shorter growth season. I got some things that I think will do well for us. So y'all know I always got to figure out what I'm going to say for last. She's so dramatic. First of all, let me show you these. I got these as my free seeds. I may have gotten them last year. I don't know. But I've never grown them. I think it's a hot pepper. This was one of my free seed packs this last order that I did. They're called the datil pepper. And it says on here, blazing hot, blunt little 3.5-inch fruits ripened to brilliant orange yellow, vicious heat, complex and fruity flavor. So y'all know Sheree won't be growing these. This is going to go into an envelope of goodies that I'm going to be mailing to my friend Jay of Juicing with Jay, because Jay likes hot peppers. I think Jay is gone now, but I'm like, oh, the first thing it says is blazing hot. I'm not growing that. So those are going to Juicing with Jay. I was like, thanks for being honest about it. Vicious heat. Cause y'all even with like jalapeno pepper seeds and stuff like that, I have to wear gloves just sowing the seeds because I sow my hot pepper seeds separate from my sweet pepper seeds, and I also plant them differently so they don't get mixed up. And I was sowing my seeds like I normally do, and then I touched my face and my face was burning, and thank goodness I didn't touch my eyes. But just the seed, I was sensitive to the seed. And I'm from Maryland, home of like Old Bay seasoning and hot sauce. And I'm the anomaly in my family. Like I've never since a child, my sisters, when they were little, were like pouring hot fish on their fish and stuff. I have like very little. I can do like a little bit of a sweet heat, but that numbing heat, I said, Baker Creek, you don't know me if you sent me that as my free seed. So let's go into Juicing with Jay. I'm going to be sowing these after the live because I'm about to start some more lettuce. I'm trying to get really quick growing, yet colorful lettuces for the children to grow. They're going to be growing mostly hydroponically, but also in some soil. And so I'm testing these all out hydroponically and in soil and trying to I want to send them a mixture of fast growing, middle growing, and slow growing things just as a part of their lesson in learning, right? Different things take different time. But I want it also to be really beautiful and pretty because they did video presentations and they did a garden tour with their friends and families at the end of this summer's program, and they were so proud. And then they take stuff home with them. This summer they all set up their own pots that they took home. I think this year I don't know what I'm going to have them take home. We'll see. But anyway, I picked up this. I don't know if this is a new variety or not. I can't remember. This is called the Bronze Beauty lettuce. Look at how pretty that is. And this says here, All-American Award winner for 1947. The year was introduced by Germania Seed Company. Never heard of Germania Seed Company, but I'm going to be Google searching that. It says super sweet leaves, blushed with bronze, mainly around the leaf margins. And this is why I got it. It says that it is heat tolerant and slow to bolt. And when I found last year with some lettuce under the grow lights, even though I use LED lights, it's not that they're getting hot, but right, your grow lights are artificially close to your plants, right? When you're growing outdoors, the sun is millions and millions of miles away from your lettuce, right? But when you're growing in this artificial environment, right, with the grow lights, your plants are growing much closer to light. And so what I found is that I had some things that would like go to seed and bolt because of the light, right? Not the heat, but the light. And so we'll see. Yeah, I'm going to try this out. And then I like to grow lettuce all year long. So I have some romaines and some Chinese cabbages that did really well in the garden. and they don't bolt. Even when I had 100-degree weather, I still had lettuce. So I'm going to add this the um, to the mix. You know, I've grown sweet potatoes, Pantry gardens. The second year in a row, though, I get really puny harvests, and I know why. I'm putting them out too late, and so that's another reason why I wanted a bigger greenhouse, because I'm putting my sweet potatoes in the greenhouse. It's just, at least the ones that I'm growing, they have a 150-day grow season, and my grow season is 120 days, and so it's just, I need more time. I need more time. But anyway, and then I got this lettuce. This was definitely a new one. This is called the Pablo lettuce. And look at how beautiful that is too. This one says stunning Batavian type, is lavishly splashed in vibrant bronze purple, lovely enough for the flower bed, crisp, mild, and slow to bolt. So again, hoping that this will do well indoors, but more specifically, that it will do well in the heat of summer, because like I said, I like to have, I grow lettuce all year. I want fresh lettuce all year long, even when it's 100 degrees outside. So I'm excited to try those. Growing with Husband says, that's awesome. The kids will inspire some of the parents. Yes, and I have some lessons in there that involve the parents. Yeah, it's a whole thing. I have to say, this is my third grant cycle writing these proposals, and this one was definitely, I'll pat myself on the back. This is pretty awesome. I think it's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. So, did I miss any more questions? Hey, Lee Rocks. Hi, nice to see you. Lee Rock says that pepper is hot. Yeah. Sheree's not growing that. Sheree's not, I'm not even going to bother growing that. GT Junior grows at Alaska says red wing onion is in the 8 to 10 months. Red wing, yes. I found it. Good looking. Yeah. It's and they're good. They're good. My husband, I have to say, of all the things that I grew this year, you know, my husband and son, they're foodies. They love to eat. My daughter too. But I think for my husband, when he saw the onions, I mean, it's like the onions totally blew his mind. And he loves, when I'm cooking, he's always like, you need me to go down and get some onions? I'm like, yeah, babe, because he loves red onions. And I grew a lot of red onions. And so he just, even today, he came out, he's like, I can't believe we still have all those onions. Yeah, we do. Sheree grew some onions. So excited. Okay, the next one, I'm going to put out this tomatillo. This is called the chupon. I didn't Google search the names yet, so I might be mispronouncing this. Let's try it. Chupon de Melanalco. Chupon de Melanalco. It looks French. It sounds French. It reads French to me. Tomatillo. 60 days. A citrusy yellow color, pointed shape, and remarkable sweet tart flavor makes this tomatillo stand out from the pack. The fruit grows up to 4 inches long, and the flavor is more like a sweet paste tomato mixed with a husk cherry. So, tomatillos are one of those things. I planted a bunch of tomatillos my first gardening season, 2022. I have hardly had to plant any again. I planted some last year trying to grow them in the greenhouse, and I had some issues with them germinating. I don't know what happened. Maybe it was like too cold in the beginning and they rotted. I restarted some, and just a few, and I got those out, and I got a small amount of tomatillos from those. But I got a ton of tomatillos from volunteer tomatillos. I have volunteer tomatillos all over my garden. I pulled out so many plants. They grow like those in the tomatoes. I have so many volunteer tomato plants every year in my garden, which is, it doesn't make any sense to me, because It's frozen, but they come back for me. They stay buried in the soil. Maybe because I don't know. I don't know. But I'm gonna plant this one because that's a new one. I still have so many bags of tomatillas in my freezer, but this one is different than the other ones that I have. So I'm gonna grow that one. I got this Eagle Pass okra because I love me some fresh okra. I never liked okra from the store. I think it's disgusting. Homegrown okra is delicious. So I got this Eagle Pass. It says it's from Eagle Pass, Texas. A great okra that is less slimy than others. Big pods are tender and delicious. So that's why I got that one. So I'm gonna give that a try. Okra actually grows pretty well here for me. I don't get, huge yields, but I do get okra. Not enough to freeze and store, but enough to eat and pull some off. I had success with the jelly melon this year. And so I picked up this variety. This is called the Kiwano Rund Jelly Melon. And you got to be careful when you harvest jelly melons. I think also, like a lot of melons, it depends on your soil. We liked ours. We grew this one. I got another pack. We grew this one because I'm going to try and grow some in the greenhouse as well. And my husband and I actually really liked this thing. And it grew really well. It was one of the first things to actually flower and get pollinated and grow. So I'm going to try this variety. This is a small, round, spiny fruit native to Africa. So adding to my African seed collection. Fruit is about 3 inches round. Skin is white to ivory with juicy, deliciously sweet flesh. Where the other one has kind of a sweet, sour, cucumbery taste. We'll see. Vines reach 5 to 10 feet long and make a statement crawling up a trellis. So I'm excited to try that one. And you can see it looks a little bit different than the Kiwano one, which is also an African variety that I grew here in Zone 4, Minnesota. Yeah, I was so excited. But again, I think I just happened to put that in like the right spot where it was just getting that heat and that sun that it really needed to grow well. My gardens have all these little microclimates, right? One side is more shaded. The other one gets full sun. Depends on what's on the trellis. Yeah. So every year I just kind of take notes of what grew well and try to make adjustments. Growing with Hudson says jelly melon interesting. So are the seeds like cucumbers soft? You mean when you eat them or when you harvest, when you plant them? I put up a video, just a little short, on the jelly melons. So you can check back that. I don't have a lot of shorts. But the way we ate it, it's like almost like a gelatinous inside. We just scooped it out with a spoon and kind of sucked the jello stuff. It sounds weird. Suck that off the seeds and spit the seeds out. Well, my husband ate a couple seeds. They're very, very soft seeds. And so you can eat the seeds. And then my second one that I ate and all the rest of them after that, because then I had Google searched about it. I actually went in because it is very prickly with the horns. And I just went around it to take off those hard bits because I read the skin is actually edible. And sure enough, the skin tastes like a cucumber. I ate that whole thing. They're supposed to be so incredibly nutritious and like having some antioxidants that other fruits don't have. And like I said, I saw online, looking at different videos where people said they didn't have a taste, or ours definitely had a taste. They definitely had a flavor. But as a chemist, I do understand, right? your flavor of your fruiting vegetables, it doesn't just come from your seed, it comes from your soil, right? It comes from the micronutrients that are in your soil that the bacteria and the microorganisms break down to transport into your fruit. That is where you're getting your flavor, your sugars, so you can grow a tomato or a melon in one kind of soil versus the other. And when you analyze that fruit, even though it's the same seeds that you started with, it will have a different nutritional profile. It will have a different Brix level, right? You might have one might be sweeter or have more sugar than the other. And then a lot of it also depends on when you've harvested them. And so sometimes when you harvest things before they have ripened on the vine, they may still ripen visually, but you're not going to continue to get sugar formation, right? So that's why sometimes when you buy a tomato at the store, it's soft, it's red, it looks ripe, but it has no flavor because it was harvested before it developed all its sugars, or it was just quickly grown with not a great nutritional profile in your soil. So those nutrients aren't in the soil for your tomato to even take up. It's those little bits of micronutrients that are actually giving us the flavor on the tongue or developing the sugar that is giving it its taste. So if you are harvesting certain things and you don't realize that they're not going to continue to develop the sugars after they've been harvested from the vine, then yeah, yours might still change color, but it will be bland. So, and you know, everything's different. It depends on the fruit. It depends on, if you pick a hot pepper, that mug's probably still gonna be hot, even though it's not ripe. But a tomato might, depending on the temperature that you harvested, your tomato might taste more mealy, right? I mean, so there are all these little nuances. So that's why for me, I mean, my training is an experimental chemist. So I live and breathe experimentation. I'm not here to just go by what I read. But reading and understanding the background of some of the things can be helpful so that you don't think that's, I've seen people talk about things that I've grown and I know it's delicious and they've grown it and they're like, it doesn't taste like anything. I know people who have grown things and they love this particular tomato and I grew it and I'm like, oh, it's kind of mealy, right? It's not always the variety. Sometimes it's us, So I don't know. Take that for what it is. But that's also the joy and beauty of growing and learning. And like I said, I could grow that same jelly melon next year and maybe it is not as great. Is some things, at least I've learned in my garden, it's like all bets are off sometimes. You're gonna see what you get after you harvest it. So who knows? Who knows? I planted out some things this year that were so prolific last year. And I mean, I got good yields, but it wasn't as great as it was last year. I didn't do anything different. So, but what were we talking about? I diverged. Melons. The next one I picked up this crane melon. This is a delicious Crenshaw type melon, have pale orange flesh that is very sweet and fine flavored, green skinned rind with orange spots when ripe. Fruit is 4 pounds each. This famous California heirloom was introduced in 1920 by Oliver Crane of Santa Rosa. And so I'm just trying to find more melon that might grow well for me. I've had luck with the smaller melon. I'm going to try to push for some bigger watermelon now that I have more space. And again, I might put some in my bigger greenhouse. Um, so we'll see. Again, it has to grow in a grow bag if it's in my garden. And yeah, I need the smaller ones for that. Growing with Hudson says, I think lettuce fall in that same instance. Yeah, sometimes lettuce can taste more bitter or more sweet, depending on if it's, you know, if you're not watering it enough and it starts to get a little dry, it can be a little bit bitter. If it's getting more sun, it can be bitter. And again, it depends on what's in your soil as well. So we have to remember that. This is, again, you can see I'm going for these little like small hand-sized watermelons in short grow season. So this is a 75-day watermelon, Catania watermelon, a classic ice box melon, sweet and juicy. We love this early maturing 10 to 15 pound variety with salmon colored crisp flesh and red seeds. This 10-inch diameter fruit is ideal for slicing at picnics. So we'll see, 75 days. I'm gonna give that a try. And that's gonna be one of the things that I try to do better with, which for me usually just means pay more attention to. I plant so many things and I tend to focus on the things that, you know, I'm a tomato, pepper, eggplant kind of girl. So I sometimes forget about the other things, and especially things that they're just growing a lot of vines, and then fruit is like hidden under the vine. Like I have 2023, I need to pay more attention to the vining things, the watermelons and all those things, and really doing weekly inspections, doing hand pollinating if I need to. Because I want to get some good watermelon. I got some good watermelon at the farmer's market at the end of season, and they were delicious. But boy, you know, it's like $7 for a little handheld watermelon. It's like, yeah, okay, I have the money, but I don't want to spend something on a watermelon. I want to grow my own. So I'm going to really put some effort into trying to master the watermelons this year. I got this one here. It's called the Boulet d'Or melon, if I'm saying that correctly. A rare gourmet variety from antiquity. Sugary sweet, because that's the other thing. I like my melon sweet. Pale green flesh is just marvelous. One of our top honeydew type melons. So I'm going to give her a whirl. I think she's beautiful. I like green flesh melons. And then I got this watermelon here. This is called the Kolb's Gem. This is a 100-day watermelon. It's a bigger one. So I'm going to try to give this one a whirl in my new greenhouse. This is a mammoth watermelon equally suited to summertime picnics and competitions. This variety has been known to produce melons as large as 130 pounds. The nearly round fruit with bright red flesh dates back to 1880s Alabama. So this is another old variety, Kolb's Gem watermelon. I'm gonna give this my best shot. Maybe the greenhouse can help me. I swear I gotta buy a farm in Georgia. I need some summer fruit, y'all. Like, I had good success with growing bitter melon here, oddly. I just did some simple saute cooking, some stewing with them, but they grow. And I think, again, I get enough heat and they don't actually have super long grow seasons, kind of like the jelly melon. I don't know, for some reason they grew okay. So I got this one here. It's the Pearl Goya Bitter Melon. These glistening snow white globes are a dazzling edible ornamental variety and produce loads of pearlescent round fruit. The flavor is more mild than green bitter melon, which is why I got it, and even boasts umami flavor notes, making it a top choice for soups and other simple yet delicious preparations. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to giving that a try. So I found that, we like bitter melon, stewed, cooked, sauteed. So I'm gonna give that one a try. I got more albino beets. Just this was one of the first beets that I actually grew from Baker Creek. I got them years ago. Um, and so this is just a replacement pack, but I just wanted to show you guys, I have a huge bag of sugar beets. I think I'm gonna bag some of those up and sell them. I have a huge bag of technically sugar beets, and then I have these albino beets. I bought them from Baker Creek, and then I think I sold the remaining pack that I had. I think that pack was from plantgoodseeds.com. I've shared that source with you guys before. They have some really beautiful packaging also. So yeah, I think those were from Ian Plant Good Seeds. So anyway, I saw that they had those, so I got another pack of these. These are really, really sweet, sugary sweet beets. And again, it says on here, 55 days, pure white, fairly smooth round heirloom beet from Holland. It's super sweet, white flesh is unusual and tasty. The greens are also good, and that's what last year I didn't get a lot of beet formation because we got hot so fast again, but I thoroughly enjoyed the beet greens off of these albino beets. They're so good. And it says here, this beet can be used for making sugar. And so just wanted to share that in case anyone liked beets. Then I have 3 tomato seed packs to show with you guys. I love, again, because of my short season, I like to grow a lot of these kind of cherry and cocktail tomatoes in addition to the big tomatoes, because I can basically, these come in first, and so I can enjoy these while I'm waiting for all of those big tomatoes to grow, which usually I do 2 big harvests of the big tomatoes at the end, basically at the end of the season, because the big tomatoes need my whole 120-day grow season to grow. But these grow pretty quickly and usually pretty prolifically. I have a couple varieties of tiger melon, but I didn't have the pink tiger melon. So I got this one. This says here, another awesome member of the Artisan Seeds Tiger series, elongated 2-inch fruit, striped in fire engine red and gold, reasonable earliness and excellent flavor. So every tiger melon, the blush tiger melon, all the tiger melons that I've grown, I love. So I got those. One of my favorite things about Baker Creek is that they sell such weird looking food sometimes. So I couldn't resist these. I got this one here. This is called the Phil's One Tomato. And look at that. They grow in like these weird clusters. And I'm such a dork. They look like orbitals. I mean, they look like orbitals, atomic orbitals to me. I couldn't resist them. I'm like, that looks like an S-lobe. Y'all remember orbitals from your chemistry class? And so anyway, I got the Phil's one, which is yellow. It says here, mid-season, possibly the wildest, most eye-catching tomato we have ever seen. The semi-determinate regular leaf plants produce extraordinary, bumpy, glowing yellow globes. Philippe Romans, a tomato breeder from France, pulled characteristics from the rice tomato. Yeah, that, and I have that one. That grows in these kind of like globes like that, but smaller. And the traveler tomato to create this fanciful fusion. I mean, I just think that is so wild. It looks like, yeah, it looks like chemical orbitals. And then I got the Phil's 2. Look at that thing. The Phil's 2 tomato. So I'm actually going to go ahead and sow some of these seeds. You only get 10 seeds per pack. I'm going to go ahead and sow these because I kind of feel like I'm going to see how long they take to germinate and flower. I kind of feel like these would be really fun tomatoes to have the kids grow. And so part of what I'm doing, I'm starting seeds. Some of the tomatoes and things that I want them to grow, I'm already going to grow them. And then when I go to help them set up their gardens, they'll just transplant them because it's going to take By the time the program starts, it's going to take too long because you, like most tomatoes, you need to be starting these 8 to 12 weeks before your last frost date, your first frost date. So I'm going to get those started and then, yeah. They are crazy looking though. Look at that. Look at that. Phil's 1 and Phil's 2. So I think these are going to be fun to watch grow. I hope I can get them to grow. And then the last two things I'll show you are, I got some new peanut varieties. I have a couple, I have like 3 or 4 varieties from another company. So that's the other thing I'm going to try to grow this year with the watermelons is more of these kind of nightshady underground peanuts, the sweet potatoes, my true jicama. I'm going to focus on those because I can get them to grow, but I'm not getting them like big enough and harvestable before my season. So I've got to master growing them probably in the greenhouse. So like I said, I have I think 4 other varieties of peanuts. I'm going to do one side of the greenhouse. I'll probably do my peanut bags and the sweet potatoes. And I have to say, you know, for me, George Washington Carver has always been one of my science heroes. I think he was the first Black scientist that I learned about as a young kid. And I was just always fascinated by all the things that he did with peanuts. It's just like, it just fascinated me as a child. And so, and yes, I love peanuts, you know. My family is from North Carolina and Georgia. Peanuts. So that was like our snack. I mean, I have memories of my grandparents just sitting, just eating, you know, with the little bucket, throwing the shells. And so that's gonna be one of my like memory things for my garden this year. So I got the Tennessee Red peanut. And it says here, grown since before 1930. Each pod contains from 2 to 5 red-skinned, mild, sweet kernels of Valencia type relatively early. So I'm going to try that. And then I got the black peanut. This one is called the Schrantz's Deep Black Peanut. It says here, over several years, Gordon Schrantz of North Carolina hand-selected the darkest-skinned black peanuts a friend had given him to create a darker, slightly sweeter peanut that often has 3 to 4 seeds per shell. And it is black, but this is a late season one. It requires 125 to 140 days to harvest. So yeah, this is going to take some effort on my part, and I hope that the new greenhouse will help facilitate me reaching my goal of growing this along with the jicama. Same thing. I got the greens with the sweet potatoes, but it just wasn't long enough, hot enough. It's too cold here in spring to put them out. And then it gets hot, but it's like we have 3 months of heat and then it starts to get cold again. So I'm hoping with the heating, the new greenhouse, that I can actually push some of these things in the next year or two. I might need a year to like figure it all out, but that's my goal. That's my new goal. Those are my big challenges for 2023. The peanuts, the jicama, melons. I want more melons. And you know, maybe in 20 years I will have mastered all all the different varieties of food. No. But anyway, that's all I got for you guys today. Let me just quickly catch up on the comments, see if anyone else came in. Let me know if you have any questions. Okay, Growing with Hudson, I think I answered your question about the jelly melon when you eat them. Yes, The seeds are very soft, and so you can actually eat them. I personally spit mine out. My husband, he ate everything. Teach, I've heard that. Oh, about the soil, yeah. You know, we have to be students with these things, right? And understand, especially for, I know there's several of you in the chat that are like me in that, we can go out and buy our food. It's not a money issue. We want to taste different and unique things. And we just enjoy growing. And so with that comes a lot of learning, right? With that comes a lot of failures. With that comes a lot of forcing yourself to educate yourself a little bit more about the growing process and appreciating all the different nuances of things. And my tendency is to not blame the seed or not blame the food. In my case, is usually Sheree messed up something or didn't fully understand something yet. And so I try to find that lesson in that. And I just give it a try next year if I feel like it's worth it. There's some things I grew 2022, like with all the radishes and stuff. I mean, I'm only gonna grow. I can grow radishes indoors. I got some growing. I'll probably plant some in the fall going into winter that work for me. But my spring radishes are usually a bust. It gets hot. They bolt, they make a huge mess in my garden. And then I gotta get them out quickly before I get my tomatoes in. And then the whole season, I gotta pull up any little radish seedlings that might come up. I'm not going to mess with them this spring. Not in my main gardens. They're okay in some of the containers I have on my um, terrace garden off my deck, but I'm not putting them in the beds this year. Those are the carrots. I'm not putting them in my beds with my tomatoes because it's just not a lot. At least for me, with the sun that I get, it's not worth it. I'm gonna leave my space open for my tomatoes and my peppers to get those in earlier. That's what I'm gonna do. So it's just a lot of living and learning and making mistakes. And you get to decide if you want to try it again. If you're not, like, I'm not growing them hot peppers. I'm not burning my fingers off. I'm just trying to sow the seeds, right? So, hey, Ro, you grow Ro is here. Hi. The black, yes, I got the black peanut. GT Junior, did you get those? Are you gonna try peanuts in Alaska? I feel like if I had like another month of heat, there's so much more I could grow. But I'm hoping that the greenhouse, I gotta master that greenhouse growing. The jump start it gave me this year. I mean, it was just phenomenal. It was so worth that investment. It was so worth that investment. So I'm thrilled. TT Jr., yes, jicama is my mission in 2023. Got tips. The only thing for me, I have a lot of jicama seeds. I gave away a bunch of jicama seeds actually last year, last winter. And again, I can get them to grow. They grow. It's just I got tiny little baby little roots by the time the frost was coming. And I think it needs more time and heat. It's like the sweet potato. That's what I think. So I think this year I'm going to put some in the ground in one of my new raised beds. Now I have 8 more raised beds. So it helps me so much. So I'm going to put some in the ground to see if that makes a difference. And then I'm going to start some in grow bags in the greenhouse and then put them back in the greenhouse or maybe grow them the whole time in the greenhouse. I got to keep them warm. So that's the only thing I can think of. What else is here? I need more space for peanuts. I know. I've seen people grow them in grow bags. And again, I'm going to take one of my new raised beds and then grow bags and maybe greenhouse. Like I got to figure it out. I got to try. I'll give it 2 years. And then if I can't do it, I'll just give all the seeds away. But I'm going to try. Diane 2 says, I want those black peanuts. Yes, get those black peanuts. I know. As soon as I saw they were from North Carolina too, I was like, I gotta get them. Gotta get them. Just made 3 seeds. I still have a couple seed orders coming in for some small. And there's one small company I buy from. They're not going to put their new 2023 seeds up till mid-January. So I was on the site again yesterday, refilling out the email notice to make sure you notify me, because I already know some stuff's going to sell out so fast. You Girl Rose says, same here in Ohio. Our spring is too short. My radishes bolt. Yes, they bolt, and I'm just going to leave it alone. They do good in fall. And the cherry radishes, I have them growing now. The purple plum, I can get those to grow great indoors and enjoy some through the winter. But I can't sacrifice my space for that. Oh, you're welcome, Hudson. Thank you for joining. I've been on here for over 2 hours. I'm so embarrassed. I'm going to go. See, that's part of my problem, y'all. Sheree talks too much. And this is why I can't go live. So I'm going to wrap this up. I know you got those black peanuts. I'm definitely going to go. Yeah. Yeah. It's that time. 150 days. But see, you have that big setup in your garage. You can probably start yours in your grow bag indoors under grow lights and then move them out. For us, zone 4 folks, it's time. It's just, they need the heat. They need the heat for a longer time. But I'm always up for some challenge, and those are going to be my big challenge. Those emails, I keep refilling them out. It's like, it's brilliant that I get it. It's like, okay. All right. I'm going to go. Oh, nice. Still have pause. Oh my God, Lindsay, I've been here forever. I'm so embarrassed. That's why I can't go live. I talk too much. Rose says she bought the peanuts too from Baker Creek. Very fun. Diane too. Oh, thank you. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to go. I appreciate you guys sticking around for so long. I'm so embarrassed. But I need to go. I'm going to sow these seeds, and then I got a bag. I'm like bagging up and splitting seeds for the program as I, start to get that all organized. And so, yeah, I just love it. I did a little update on the hydroponics. I'm just potting up more stuff, starting more seeds on that. I'm going to start the fruiting seeds for the first time. I'm actually going to do that probably tomorrow now, because I've been on here longer than I thought. But I'm going to go. My phone battery is getting low. I appreciate you guys joining. And I'm not going to promise. I'm not going to say when I'm going to be live again, because I have no idea. This was totally impromptu. So anyway, I'll see you guys definitely on some squash cooking videos in 2023. I hope y'all had a Merry Christmas, and I wish you a happy, happy New Year. All right? Take care, guys. Bye.